Justice Mohammed Garba Umar of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja on Friday apparently rejected the plans by the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, to stop the upcoming Monday, October 20th planned mass protests by Nigerians to demand the release of the detained Biafra Republic agitation leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, but, according to the organizer of the protest, Omoyele Sowore, after the judge initially declined to grant the Nigeria police force an ex-parte motion to stop the planned protest in the open court, the Federal High Court judge, Justice Umar, reportedly granted the motion in chambers, imposing a ban on protests at Aso Rock Villa, National Assembly, or Unity Fountain in Abuja. We await a certified true copy of the order, which our lawyers will review. The protest remains unstoppable. While this is ongoing, the United States, U.S. Embassy in Nigeria has warned American citizens to be far from the protest areas and limit their movements in the Nigeria capital city, Abuja, saying, the planned protest may lead to disruptions and violence. Detailed of the court action as captured by Punch newspaper. The Federal High Court in Abuja has refused the Nigeria police force's bid to stop the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest, allowing it to proceed as scheduled on Monday, October 20, 2025. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, had dispatched police lawyers to the court to move an ex-parte motion against activist and protest organizer, Omoyele Sowore, in a bid to legally preempt the planned demonstration slated for the Aso Rock Villa. However, Justice Umar of the Federal High Court, Abuja, declined to grant the motion, which would have immediately restrained the protest from taking place without hearing the opposing side. The judge instead instructed the police to formally serve notice of their application on Sowore and adjourned the case until Tuesday for a proper, contested hearing. Reacting to the judicial decision, the protest convener, Omoyele Sowore, affirmed the court's decision as a victory for civil liberties and doubled down on the scheduled protest. In a statement issued on his X handle on Friday following the ruling, Sowore said, IG of Police, Nigeria, Kayode Egbetokun dispatched police lawyers to sue me, in an effort to halt the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest scheduled for Aso Rock Villa on Monday. However, the judge, Justice Umar of Federal High Court in Abuja, refused to grant the ex-parte motion, instead instructing him to serve me notice and adjourning the case until Tuesday for a proper hearing. The demonstration, organized under the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu, is intended to draw attention to the prolonged detention and legal fate of Kanu. The police action was seen as an attempt to leverage the courts to prevent a potentially sensitive gathering near the seat of Nigerian power. The adjournment to Tuesday ensures that the planned Monday protest is not currently constrained by a court order, setting the stage for a potential high-profile confrontation between protesters and security agencies around the presidential villa. Channels Television also on Friday reported that, ahead of the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest slated for Monday, October 20th in the nation, whenever controversies surround Rufai Aseni, the outspoken and fearless broadcaster on Arise Television, one recurring argument often resurfaces in public discourse, the claim that Rufai Aseni is not a journalist. Critics are quick to emphasize that he lacks a formal academic background in journalism, having originally trained in animal anatomy, but beyond the semantics of qualification, a deeper question emerges. What truly defines a journalist, and what are the core functions of journalism in society? As mass communication teacher, we teach students from the very first class that the media exists to inform, educate, entertain, and preserve cultural heritage. Journalists also play the crucial roles of agenda setting and acting as watchdogs, holding public officials accountable and amplifying the voices of the governed. The media's capacity to shape national conversations is immense. By highlighting specific issues and giving them prominence, journalists help raise awareness and influence public perception. It is through such agenda-setting functions that societies engage in dialogue, debate, and reform, thereby playing participatory role in the process of governance. When examined through this functional lens, it becomes clear that Rufai Aseni has consistently fulfilled these journalistic responsibilities over the years. His incisive questioning, fearless commentary, and commitment to public accountability have made him one of the most recognizable broadcast personalities in contemporary Nigerian media. A notable example is his now famous exchange with the Minister of Works, Engineer Dave Umahi, on Arise television. Before that encounter, few Nigerians had publicly interrogated the cost per kilometer of road construction projects executed by government agencies. While the minister initially dismissed Rufai's question as elementary, the issue soon gained traction nationally. In fact, subsequent clarifications by Umahi, and even a public response by Oyo State Governor, Seyi Makinde demonstrated that Asani's line of questioning had forced an important accountability conversation into the mainstream. Through this singular act, Rufai did what the media are mandated to do: hold power accountable, enlighten the public, and stimulate civic engagement. It is true that a formal qualification, such as a diploma or degree in journalism, is generally considered a prerequisite for professional practice. Yet, history tells a different story about the Nigerian press. Many of the country's most celebrated media pioneers, from Herbert Macaulay to Ernest Akoli, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and Obafemi Awolowo, were not trained journalists in the academic sense. Nevertheless, through passion, intellect, and experience, they became towering figures in the nation's journalistic landscape. In the decades that followed, major Nigerian newspapers like The Guardian, The Punch, The Tribune, and the defunct National Concord were edited by professionals whose backgrounds spanned literature, political science, law, and the humanities, not necessarily journalism. What mattered was their adherence to journalistic ethics and commitment to truth. Today, journalism is evolving faster than ever. The rise of social and digital. Nigerian Army Authority has issued a statement denying threat messages issued against members of the public ahead of the planned mass protest slated for October 20, 2025 to demand for the release and freedom of the detained Biafra Republic agitation leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, just as the organizer and chief campaigner, Omoyele Sowore, the publisher of Sahara Reporters news media, met to seek understanding with the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who, according to Sowore, promised to visit President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to discuss the issue with him. Nigerian Army, in a statement on Friday, said, "The attention of the Nigerian Army, NA, has been drawn to a misleading publication by Sahara Reporters alleging that a Facebook page purportedly operated by military personnel issued veiled threats against certain individuals ahead of a planned October 20 protest. The report is not only false but a deliberate attempt to misinform the public and discredit the noble institution of the Nigerian Army." For the avoidance of doubt, the Nigerian Army has only two official social media handles, namely at HQ Nigerian Army and at Nigerian Army Info, which are duly verified on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram and YouTube. Any other page or account outside these verified handles does not belong to the Nigerian Army and should be disregarded in its entirety. It is pertinent to state that certain civilians and online content creators now operate pages that post military-related contents purely for the purpose of generating online traffic and monetary gain. Such pages have no affiliation whatsoever with the Nigerian Army. The NA therefore dissociates itself completely from any post, statement, or activity emanating from these unauthorized sources. The Nigerian Army remains a professional, disciplined and apolitical institution committed to the defense and unity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In the discharge of its constitutional responsibilities, the NA continues to uphold the highest standards of professionalism, adherence to the rule of law, and respect for human rights. The general public and media practitioners are hereby enjoined to verify all information concerning the Nigerian Army only through its official platforms or the Directorate of Army Public Relations before publication or dissemination. The Nigerian Army therefore urges Sahara Reporters and other media outlets to exercise due diligence in verifying the authenticity of their sources to avoid the spread of falsehood capable of misleading the public and undermining national security. Omoyele Sowore, in a statement made available through his personal social media accounts on Friday, said that, earlier today in Abuja, I met with former President Goodluck Jonathan to discuss the continued incarceration of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. President Jonathan agreed that there is an urgent and compelling need to address this matter decisively and justly. I thank him sincerely for recognizing the importance of resolving Kanu's case in the interest of peace, fairness, and national healing. Particularly assuring was that he promised to meet Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to discuss this issue as soon as possible. With this, former President Jonathan joins a growing list of Nigerians who have called for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria has accepted the resignation of the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Jeffrey Uche-Naji, who had been accused of forging the degree certificate of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and the certificate of completion of service for the one-year mandatory National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, after he allegedly failed an exit course, virology, repeatedly at the university. Nigeria presidency, in a statement made available a few minutes ago by the presidential spokesperson, Bayo Onanuga, stated that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has accepted the resignation of Jeffrey Uche-Naji, the Minister of Innovation, Science, and Technology, following some allegations against him. President Tinubu appointed Naji in August 2023. He resigned today in a letter thanking the president for allowing him to serve Nigeria. Naji said he has been a target of blackmail by political opponents. President Tinubu thanked him for his service and wished him well in future endeavors. Earlier, Nigeria state-controlled media, NTA, had reported that the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Uche Jeffrey Naji, has dismissed reports questioning his academic qualifications, describing them as politically motivated attempts to tarnish his image. The minister has firmly defended the authenticity of his University of Nigeria, Nsukka degree. Speaking through his spokesperson, Dr. Robert Ngwu, the minister said records from UNN confirm he graduated in July 1985 with a bachelor's degree in microbiology and biochemistry, second-class honors, lower division. He described recent reports denying his graduation as false, malicious, and politically driven, alleging that the controversy began after opposition figures took key positions within the university. Naji revealed that the Federal High Court in Abuja has issued protective orders restraining the university from tampering with his records and directing the release of his academic transcript. Reaffirming his focus on national service, the minister said no amount of political blackmail or media trial will distract him from advancing innovation and technology in Nigeria. He urged the University of Nigeria to uphold its motto, to restore the dignity of man, and resist being used for partisan purposes. In a swift reaction on Tuesday, Enugu state government denied sponsoring allegations of certificate forgery against the Minister of Innovation, Science, and Technology, Chief Uche-Naji, urging him to carry his cross and clear his name before Nigerians. The government, in a press statement issued in Enugu on Monday by the Director of Information in the Ministry of Information and Communication, Mr. Chukwuemeka Nibo, said it had no hand whatsoever in the controversies surrounding the minister's academic records. The Enugu state government dissociates itself completely from these allegations. The honorable minister must carry his own cross and clear his name before Nigerians, instead of dragging the government into issues that are entirely personal to him, Mr. Nibo declared. The Director of Information recalled that Chief Naji had invited journalists to a World Princess Ola Torere-Amaje Kadunmianiru from Ogun State and a Commonwealth Award winner who is currently pursuing a master degree in law has called on the federal government of Nigeria under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to immediately release the detained Biafra Republic agitation leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, stating in a statement personally signed and made available to Media Newsroom on Monday, that 10 years of detention without conviction is a grave violation of the fundamental human rights of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, specifically stated verbatim that the continued detention of Mr. Kanu without conviction is not merely a legal anomaly. It is a profound failure of justice and a grave violation of his fundamental human rights, His prolonged detention exposes the widening gap between Nigeria's constitutional expectations and the daily realities of citizens. We must have a justice system that acts with both fairness and decisive strength, not one ensnared in endless procedural limbo and mired in public distrust. According to the princess, across the span of a decade, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has endured one of the longest and most troubling pre-trial detentions in Nigeria's history. Arrested in 2015, accused, pleading not guilty, and never convicted, he remains confined in a blatant defiance of the most fundamental human rights principles. Where is justice when a man stands unconvicted for 10 years, while those charged with upholding justice remain silent? The continued detention of Mr. Kanu without conviction is not merely a legal anomaly. It is a profound failure of justice and a grave violation of his fundamental human rights. His prolonged detention exposes the widening gap between Nigeria's constitutional expectations and the daily realities of citizens. We must have a justice system that acts with both fairness and decisive strength, not one ensnared in endless procedural limbo and mired in public distrust. No charge, however grave, should ever eclipse the principle that every individual is presumed innocent until proven guilty. That principle is the very cornerstone of law and must never be broken, regardless of who holds power. As we call for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's immediate and unconditional freedom, my heart goes out to millions of Nigerians, across tribal lines, generations, and economic classes, from Borno to Kwara to Lagos, crying out for help against armed violence, forced displacement, demolitions, unlawful detentions, untimely deaths, and the persistent scarcity of life's most basic necessities. Beyond politics, every life matters. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's health and spirit are at grave risk, after 10 years behind bars without a proven crime. This declaration is an urgent proclamation. We will count every second, every hour, every day, and continue to galvanize until Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is restored to his rightful freedom. Nigeria now stands at a cross of roads, where history will judge the true motives of those in power. The eyes of the world are watching, and the conscience of the nation is restless. The promise of our democracy depends not only on acts of courage within the halls of power but also on the bold, united actions of citizens. About Mazi Nnamdi, Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, may have given a clearer picture on how some companies are apparently aiding and making more money from the ongoing war in his country Ukraine, saying, since the start of the war 4 years ago, some unnamed companies in the United States, US, United Kingdom, UK, China, Germany, Taiwan, Switzerland, Japan, Korea Republic, Netherlands are producing components Russia under President Vladimir Putin is using to produce weapons of mass destruction, to kill his people. This, Zelensky in his own words said on Monday that, in the 4th year of the full-scale war, Russia continues to obtain components for producing weapons. During the massive combined strike on Ukraine on the night of October 5, Russia used 549 weapon systems containing 102,785 foreign-made components, from companies in the United States, China and Taiwan, the United Kingdom, Germany, Switzerland, Japan, the Republic of Korea, and the Netherlands. Nearly 100,688 of foreign-made parts were in the launched attack drones, about 1,500 were in Iskanders, 192 in Kinzhal missiles, and 405 in Calibers. Zelensky stated this in a statement made available through his personal social media profile on Monday, after about 30 people were injured as a result of the Russian attack on a moving passenger train, killing one person in Shostka district of Ukraine on Saturday. According to Zelensky, Ukraine is preparing new sanctions against those who help Russia and its war, and we have communicated proposals to curb the supply schemes. Partners already possess the detailed data on each company and each product. They know what to target and how to respond. This week, the G7 sanctions coordinators will meet, and we expect a systemic decision to ensure that the sanctions are truly effective. It is crucial to shut down every scheme that circumvents sanctions, because Russia uses each one to keep killing. The world has the power to stop this. In the fourth year of the full-scale war, Russia continues to obtain components for producing weapons. During the massive combined strike on Ukraine on the night of October 5th, Russia used 549 weapon systems containing 102,785 foreign-made components, from companies in the United States, China and Taiwan, the United Kingdom, Germany, Switzerland, Japan, the Republic of Korea, and the Netherlands. Nearly 100,688 of foreign-made parts were in the launched attack drones, about 1,500 were in Iskanders, 192 in Kinzhal missiles, and 405 in Calibers. In particular, companies in the United States manufacture converters for KH-101 missiles and Shahd, Iran-type drones, sensors for those UAVs and for Kinzhal missiles, analog to digital converters for drones and missiles, and microelectronics for missiles. At least 50 different microelectronic components in each Shahd are produced in China and Taiwan. Microcontrollers for UAVs
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.